So Klay Thompson had to sit down with Draymond Green, and perhaps for the last time as teammates, as they reflect on their current season together, the ups and downs, and Klay Thompson's pending free agency. Now, it's leaked out to the public during the trade deadline that the Warriors had contacted the Lakers about LeBron James, and the only salary that would end up matching was Klay Thompson's. But this brotherhood has been one to remember, but like all good dynasties, it's eventually going to come to an end. And the beginning of that started in the 2019 NBA Finals when Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant had went down with injuries, but due to Stephen Curry revamping his body and elevating his game, he was able to lift that Golden State Warriors team in 2022 to yet another NBA Finals. But that dynasty ship is beginning to crack beyond repair, and examples of this is the departure of Bob Myers, the off-court issues with Andrew Wiggins, and also the fallout of Jordan Poole with Draymond Green, which led to him being traded. So like all good dynasties, we may be seeing one last hurrah, because best believe with the new CBA coming up, along with Klay Thompson kind of proving his value at the end of this season, there are going to be teams out there with enough cap space and who are starving for a shooter. Teams like the Orlando Magic, the Philadelphia 76ers, and to a degree, the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Klay entering this offseason will be unrestricted. Along with the NBA salary caps going up, he'll be able to leverage a decent price for his services. But the two brothers of the Dub Nation had a nice conversation, reflecting on their great moments and their recent struggles. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
You have a free agency coming up this summer. And, and speaking of playing with, you for the last 12 years, with Steph for the last 12 years and what we've built here, things change. The NBA changes, cap situations change, this thing changed, that thing changed. As you go into free agency this summer, what's a priority to you as you look at, the next 3, 4, 5, whatever you decide you want to play, as you look at kind of the last segment of your career, if you will? What's important to you as you embark up on that?
I just can't believe it's here. Like when you're in your mid-20s, it's so crazy. You think you're going to play forever, really, and you think you just maintain that athletic level that seems effortless. Oh, but then as time goes on, you really do realize how demanding this job really is. And it's so physically demanding. And I was actually struggling with that a lot at the beginning of this year because of the unknown, I mean, I might have let contract situations or playing time or just making up a lot of excuses rather than just appreciating what is in front of me. And it took me and Steve like 4 real heart-to-heart talks to finally break my shell, being like, you know what? I gotta have fun this year. I deserve to have fun. Like, we worked so hard to freaking win these games and play into June and have fans on the road. I mean, my first couple years, there might be a few Steph Curry jerseys in the crowd. Now it's like a whole contingent of Warrior fans on the road. It's insane. So I was kind of grappling with that a lot this year. It's almost like your own mortality as an athlete. Like, man, I might not be able to elevate like I once did, or I might not slide my feet left and right like I once did, but I can still be a heck of a player if I just give gratitude and keep that perspective. Like, I'm out here balling.
And some of us forgot the hell of a player that Klay Thompson was in his prime, still dropping his 20 points per game, while most nights he'll go from guarding Damian Lillard to the next night he'll be guarding Westbrook, then the next night it'll be James Harden. He was asked consistently night in, night out to not only score, but to guard the best perimeter players.
Because that was hard for me these last few years when you go through injuries and you're so used to playing at a certain level, guarding a certain guy, shooting certain shots, then you have to adjust all of that. That was the hardest part of my career. And it's still hard for me, when I'm used to scoring 25 in a quarter, locking up the best player. Now I gotta pick my spots a lot more just precisely, which is fine. I've finally come to accept, like, look, I can still be a heck of a player. I can still be incredibly efficient. And as long as I'm having fun and being a good teammate, and you actually helped me a ton when you're like, lean into these young guys, lean into the fact you're a vet,
And lean into that guy Podziemski. Boy, that's a brand new dynamic that's happening with the Warriors. That guy is coming for Klay's minutes right there. And some of the fallouts with some of their lineups with Andrew Wiggins and his off-the-court issues, he just seems to be almost half himself. It's almost like we're asking, where the hell is the Andrew Wiggins of 2022 in the finals? The guy that was getting double-doubles and just being a defensive pest. Along with the issues of Andrew Wiggins, we are seeing the rise of some of the younger players, guys like Kuminga actually putting Steve Kerr on blast this season so he can get more playing time. So the young pups are coming up and they're beginning to bark to get some more of the minutes, especially as some of the vets begin to age.
X amount of money, you don't have to worry about nothing. Like, you're playing for the love of the game. And I think once I realized that and I relax a little bit rather than trying to play for a contract or an all-star nod or some accolade, but rather just play for the love of the game. And the fact they get to play cards with the guys on the plane. We're playing ping pong last night after the game. We're having fun. That's the beauty of the game right there. Not trying to get another max deal or another endorsement, but just smelling the roses and appreciating all the work it took to get here.
Yes, and it's definitely been a long road for Klay, and he has to look at what's going on with Jordan Poole in Washington. Of course, he's getting paid the big bucks, but he looks very miserable over there, and to a lesser degree, he's getting exposed in a way. In order to be the man, you're going to have to deal with all the attention that comes with it, and we're seeing Jordan Poole actually struggle in that role. So that's also a question that Klay Thompson is going to ask himself in this offseason. Is he ready to venture out on his own and perhaps carry the load? Will his body hold up?
And in saying that, when it comes to free agency in July, I just got to keep that in mind. Like, yes, I want to re-sign with the Dubs, but I also have to prioritize my mental health and, lay out what is important to me at this point in my career. And I know we have so much basketball ahead that I haven't given it much thought, really, because if I start thinking about July 1st, then I'm just doing myself a disservice. I'm not here. I'm not thinking about the Hornets tomorrow and these must-win games this weekend. So,
and that's another thing with the Warriors. The predicament they find themselves at right now, it's going to be a tough road. Right now, they're the 10th seed, and it looks like they're going to be in the play-in against the Lakers. And they're going to have to participate in another play-in matchup just to get the 8th seed to either face the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves. As of right now, it's looking like they're going to face the defending champions, Denver Nuggets. So the lack of size does not draw them a favorable matchup in the first round. That's why I said this interview right here could be the last hurrah, as these two guys wear the same jerseys as brothers.
It's just about staying present, as simple as that is, staying present and appreciating being in the NBA. Because my Uncle Andy always told me, he's like, Klay, your career's going to go by in a snap of a finger, so just appreciate this life you live. It's not a right, it's really a privilege. And, Uncle Andy, he'd been around the game since The Last Dance, so that helped me a lot as well.
Absolutely. In 2019, if you don't get hurt, do you approach your whole free agency process differently at that point?
That's a big what if. Wow. Yeah, that was, that could have been a definite possibility just because you're healthy. But at the same time, too, if I don't get hurt and let's say we do three-peat, it's like you're not walking away from that.
That part.
You're not going to, that hasn't been done since Shaq and Kobe, so I never would have walked away from a chance at stacking rings. And, man, that was a crazy time. That was the worst, man. You know how long it is to play to the finals. It's such a long grind. And then, like, you tear a ligament and then you got to go right back to the gym. There was no, vacation. So I was very grateful for my family during that time because I was just kind of lost without basketball and, being on crutches and just having to build all that muscle back in my quad and the atrophy. That was not fun. And especially after that 5-year finals run we had. That's a lot of just mental and physical wear and tear. And I don't think, when I really think about it, if I was healthy, and I don't think I would have really tested it that hard, just because like it's hard to walk away from a dynasty. That's doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, absolutely.
And dynasties definitely do not happen often. And Klay Thompson has made the ultimate sacrifice within that dynasty by being content with being Stephen Curry's wingman. And this sacrifice is very similar to Dwayne Wade deciding to become LeBron's wingman, even though he was an NBA Finals MVP and Mr. Miami. These guys putting their ego aside is definitely a big deal, because they could venture out and be the man on a franchise on their own and earn the money. But hey, we'll see. There's a few things going against the Warriors once again. Their play-in position, and even if they get into the playoffs, who they end up facing in the first round, and also the current landscape of the NBA entering into this summer. It is not designed for teams who have spent money like the Warriors in the past 5 to 6 years. Teams now are going to get penalized for being over the second apron consecutive years in a row. Not only they begin to take your draft picks away 7 years out, but they also limit teams on their roster construction by only allowing them to add brand new players who are minimum paid players. There is no mid-level trade exception, no mid-level exception, and no 2-for-1 deals to make the money match in regards to trades. So you become very limited if you begin to spend money like the Warriors have in the past 5 to 6 years. And this all begins this summer. When you add on top of that the leverage that Klay Thompson has entering into unrestricted free agency, along with the salary cap being bumped up and other teams needing shooters like the Orlando Magic, Philadelphia 76ers. Hell, you can even toss the Houston Rockets on that list, or Indiana Pacers. And even the OKC Thunder will have cap space. So he does have that leverage to use against the Warriors. But we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully this is not one last hurrah, but that one last dance is coming for these Golden State Warriors. Can they just extend it possibly another 2 years? But hey, like all good dynasties, they eventually come to an end.